Good to see you guys. It's actually a lovely still afternoon again. I love these sunny, wintry afternoons. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about breath. And we're not going to do too much. Breath it can be a really big, complex subject, but we also can make it really bite-sized and accessible. And what I want to talk about today is balance, because essentially, and some of you will have heard me talk about this before, there are three ways that we can use the breath. We can use it to energize us, we can use it to balance us, and we can use it to calm and relax us. And so essentially you can think of it as being like having a shot of coffee, a glass of water, or a hot whiskey to get you ready for sleep. And today I want to talk about the balance practices. So there's a lot of practices that are around like the whiskey practices that help you to deeply relax and get yourself shifted into a really relaxed state. And there's a couple of two or three practices that energize you. We did one of them earlier on in the week, but yesterday, because it's only Tuesday today. And this balancing practice is just about changing the rate and ratio of our breath. And before we do that, I can ask you, hi Helen, hi Ali. Before we pop into our meditation, don't worry, we are still going to meditate. Now, there's a way you can find out which part of your nervous system is dominating right now. And that is if you stick your finger underneath your nose and you just blow from your nostrils, maybe out of your nose. Now, generally, one or other nostril will be dominant. Now, if you're balanced, if you're in balance with your nervous system, you'll find right now, mine are pretty equal. And we're meant to naturally cycle throughout our days between stress response and relaxation response. We're not actually meant to be just chilled all the time. It's a natural rhythm that we have. And we can actually change that. So when we're doing a balance practice, it's about bringing the two in alignment with each other. Now, if you're in the left nostril predominantly, if as you breathe out, you can feel that left nostril mostly. And you play around with this in your day and do it at different times of the day. Left nostril is mostly in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest nervous system. So often if we're going to eat a meal or we are resting, then we flick over into this side. And when it's our right nostril that's dominant, that's our doing nostril, that's our sympathetic nervous system, the stress response. And for a lot of us, we're in this right hand side nostril too much of the time. And so let's say we go to eat a meal, we're still on our phone, we're still active, maybe we're stood up, we're moving, we're not in the right part of our nervous system to fully digest our food. And knowing this, I find it quite a useful thing actually to be able to just kind of have a little check-in with myself of what's going on in my nervous system. Hi Sarah. And so the balancing practice that we're going to do now, it's super simple. And on the face of it, you think, really, can that be doing very much? But what it does is, if you're too much in your parasympathetic, that fight or flight response, it'll just bring you back down. If you're too sluggish, especially this time of the day, sometimes we can be feeling a little bit sluggish, a little bit like, then it'll just bring you back up. And so it's about balance. And just like a glass of water, you can do this any time of the day. And I tend to do this when I'm driving or just any time that I sort of realize that I'm just not quite feeling very balanced. And there's only two things really. The first thing is around how we breathe. So breathing in and out through the nose is really important. And because I don't want to take up your whole afternoon with this, I'm not going to go into it too much, but basically we want to breathe in and out through our nose. And we want to, if we can, almost focus the air and create a kind of whisper sound at the back of the throat, or like an ocean sound. And it sounds a little bit like this. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. So basically, if you were to have your mouth open, hi Harvey, we're just talking about breathing, Harvey, before we get started. If you have your mouth open, it would be like you were fogging up a mirror. If you kind of pretend to fog up a mirror, but you're doing that. So basically, we're just narrowing the airway at the back of our throat. And when we narrow the airway at the back of the throat, it's like narrowing a hose, like we know when you want to focus a hose in your garden, and it allows you to focus the air. And by doing that, you actually stimulate the vagus nerve a little bit more, which is the nerve at the back of it's called the wandering nerve that goes throughout our whole body. And that's what helps us with that relaxing mode. So we're going to do a whispering sound, but through our nose with our mouth closed. So it sounds a bit like this. I'm going to exaggerate it. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's like an ocean or whisper sound at the back of the nose. And don't worry if you struggle with it, it's fine. Just give it a try. And the main thing is you're breathing in and out through the nose, because that sends all sorts of signals as well about whether our system is feeling safe or not. And all we're going to do is slow down the rate of our breath and bring it into balance. So often are when we're stressed, we're breathing very fast up here, and our in-breath can be quite, our exhale can be quite short. So we effectively, we're over breathing. So we're just going to slow it down. So instead of breathing, 8 to 12 times a minute, we're going to breathe 4 to 6 times a minute. So I'll just count for 4 for inhale and count to 4 for the exhale. And that's it. That's as simple as it is, but in and out through our nose. And amazingly, it has a really big impact on your nervous system. And I know I've done lots of talking today, which I don't normally do in these meditations, but sometimes with the breath, because you can get the result much more quickly sometimes, that physiological shift, than with meditation. It's worth having these tricks in your toolkit, and you can use it alongside meditation, like we'll do today. So we'll start with this balanced breathing, and then we'll just go into meditation. I'm just going to put my headphones in so you can hear me better. I should have done that at the beginning, so that you can go into a meditation and already your body's already making that shift and being balanced. So I'll count in for 4 and out for 4. Simple as that. And we'll just keep our eyes closed and we'll go straight into a meditation practice from there. So we're going to do 10 rounds of the breathing, which sounds a lot, but it will, and it's actually, sometimes people find having that focus, especially at the start, can help with that wandering mind, because while we're focusing on the breath, it does make it a little bit easier sometimes to keep that monkey mind from traveling off wherever it wants to go. So close down your eyes, just finding a gentle, relaxed posture. And just, first of all, just notice your breath as it is right now before we start to consciously choose how to breathe. As you're breathing high up in the chest, is it smooth and relaxed, or is it a little bit more jagged, a little bit more irregular? Finding rhythm in our breath is another way of balancing our nervous system and just sending these micro signals that everything's okay, that our system is safe, and that we can relax. So I'll begin to count us on 4 for an inhale, and then count us out for 4 for an exhale. And if you need to breathe longer or shorter, you just do what you need to and just come back to the rhythm of what I'm counting, as however it suits you. So we'll inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And final round. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then letting your breath find its natural rhythm. Perhaps settling back into the chair a little bit more if you're sitting upright. And just noticing the breath now. Noticing the breath rising and falling in the body. Maybe there's a tiny change in how you're breathing, or maybe it's the same. Just notice the quality of the breath. Noticing the cool air entering the nostrils or the mouth. Maybe noticing if the collarbone is gently rising. And ideally, we want the collarbone and the higher up in our chest to be almost still as we breathe. And maybe notice that the breath begins to go deeper down to the belly. You can notice your belly rising and falling. Maybe even noticing the rib cage as it slightly expands outwards with each breath. Now the body's breathing for you. You don't need to make it happen or create it. It just happens. Even if sometimes especially if we've controlled the breath, the mind wants to get in the way and it becomes almost difficult to breathe. But just know that the body can breathe for you and just allow the breath to come and go. The body's breathing and you're just watching. And keep our attention with the breath when it wanders away, as it will, with thoughts or sensations or sounds, just coming back to the breath and the rising and falling. We'll gently note rising and falling as we breathe. So as you breathe in, it's rising. And as you breathe out, falling. Rising, falling. Rising, falling. And just continuing to note that rising and falling and coming back whenever the mind wanders. And we'll have some silence to just be with the breath and whatever else arises, just for a few moments. And letting go of the labeling of the breath now. Just watching the breath come and go and noticing your shoulders, noticing the jaw, the forehead, and noticing the chair supporting you.
and your feet on the floor. And seeing if you can bring a quality of conscious awareness into the rest of your day, just being aware of your body and your breath, and just momentarily throughout the rest of the afternoon, gently returning movement to the fingers and the toes, just keeping the gaze soft for a moment, maybe even taking a couple of big sighs out the mouth. And just a little reset, and we can just check in with our nose. Just what's happening with your nose, what's happening with your nervous system. Maybe try it a few times in a day and just see at different times, what you're doing and what your nervous system state is. Because sometimes when there's a mismatch between those two, it can make it tricky. Those times when you go to exercise and you feel sluggish, or you want to rest, but you still feel a bit wired. You can get clues to what's happening and then use the breath to shift for meditation. Have a great afternoon. I will be here at 7:15 tomorrow, and we'll be doing we'll incorporate another little bit of breath tomorrow. I'll actually do some vibrating tomorrow. It sounds very, very tantalizing, doesn't it? So we're going to vibrate tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:15. Take care.